Hello everyone, this is Alejandro Cremades, and today we're going to be talking about what startup investors look for in entrepreneurs before investing. So let's face it, there's many different factors that really come into place for an investor to get excited, for an investor to understand the vision and to understand the future that that entrepreneur is really creating. So in today's video, we're going to provide some key things or key insights that you could use to really understand and to really get some of those patterns that are going to make that trigger in an investor to really go ahead with making an investment. So with that being said, let's get into it. So the first thing is they like founders that are able to build a great team around them. The thing is that, as that book from John Collins, Good to Great, he always says that a bus, like a startup, is like a bus without a direction, but if you have the right people seated on the right seats, eventually you would find that direction to success. And that's the same thing with startups. The investor, they want to know that you can recruit a team of 8 players, and typically they would see as a red flag if they see a solo founder, because that could signal the fact that they were not able to sell their vision enough to convince someone else to join them in that journey. So again, it's all about being able to delegate, being able to get people that are better than you and that can execute and that bring something to the table. And essentially, this is something that the investor is going to want and is going to require in order for them to potentially make an investment. The execution is a really big one. So the minute that you meet for the very first time with an investor, is very rarely that they're going to give you the check. So you're meeting with them day one here, and maybe like over the course of time, you're giving updates and you're telling them how you're doing, how you're perhaps executing, perhaps some of the feedback that they gave you, how you're implementing it. And then over the course of time, they're going to be able to see that you're delivering on your promises. All those different things, that they told you, perhaps they can see that you're listening and that you're applying that. And all of those different factors or ingredients are going to help them understand that you're really good at the execution, which is going to give them that assurance towards making an investment. Remember as well that at the end of the day, 5% is going to be the idea and 95% is going to be the execution, which accounts ultimately for the success of a business concept or venture. Founders that know their customers. This is another big one of investors. You're going to see it when you go to meetings. They're going to want to hear about your customer, what you know, what kind of data, what kind of information, what you've learned, what they like, what they don't like what do they look like. Those are all different things that you really need to know, because it's all about understanding your customer. And if you really understand your customer, then you're going to be able to bring or deliver a service that they want and need. And that essentially is what investors want. They want the entrepreneur to be able to build something that has product market fit, which essentially what that means is something that is literally flying off the shelves, is something that is addressing a specific need in the market, and is something that is going to help the investor determine that you've done your homework, that you know your customers, and that you're giving them exactly what they need. Expertise. They want to know that you know the market that you're dealing with, that you've done your homework about it, and that essentially they're not giving you the money to make the mistakes. They're giving you the money to really execute. That's something that really investors want, and that for them is going to be a super big one. So when you're getting in front of them, you really need to convey, why are you and your team the right team to execute this idea, and what have you done in the past that really gives you that edge for the execution and to really bring this venture to the finish line. They want a very big market. They want to invest in a company that is potentially taking on a really big market, and those need to be $1 billion and up. Anything under $1 billion is probably not going to be of interest, because ultimately you need to understand that whatever that market is, even if you have the best idea and the best execution and the best team, if the market is small, that is also going to determine the returns of that investor. So with that in mind, you want to be in a market that is really big, that have that potential for great disruption, and that essentially is going to create a great excitement with those investors that you're targeting, because they can see that if you execute well, then perhaps the returns are also going to be super meaningful and that are going to justify the risk of investing in your company. Being able to adapt. So this is another really important one because this is going to tell the investor that you're able to listen, that you can listen to your customers, that you can listen to them, that you can listen to your employees. You need to adapt because essentially what you are bringing to market, maybe that business plan or that pitch deck that you put, one day together thinking that it was going to be a massive success, ultimately you put it to the market and you realize that it needed some tweaks. There were certain things that you did not understand or you didn't know were there, but that by listening to your customers, you understand how with 1 or 2 tweaks or whatever that is needed, you're able to adapt and you're able to really completely reinvent whatever you're doing and perhaps even completely reinvent yourself or whatever you're offering. So I think that being able to adapt is a critical one, and then in the end, essentially being able to listen to. Focus. This is another one that is super important because the thing about entrepreneurs is that you're always thinking about what the future is going to be, what can you bring, to that problem that you saw, what kind of solution. The problem is that when you start thinking too big, when you start to really perhaps get other distractions, that is going to be a red flag. And you always, as an entrepreneur, you want to start by not building the mall first. You want to build a store first, and then you build it over time to become that big mall or that big idea that you have. But you need to always think big and start small. And that is going to give that assurance to the investor that you know how to focus and that essentially you're really going to be crazy about execution on those milestones that you've already outlined. They also want to see the sense of urgency and the passion there. Because here's the thing, you need to be crazy obsessed with your business. It's night and day. This is not like a title, it's not a job, it's a lifestyle. You've come across a crazy problem that frustrated you. It all started with a personal story of yours and how you essentially brought that to life to really address with your solution that problem that you were seeing. It's all about your personal story. It's about how passionate you are about that. And that is something that is going to come across during your discussions. So again, and again, make sure that you're showing that you have that passion for whatever you're resolving and addressing, and that you're able to talk about your why, the why of how you brought this business to life, because that is, in essence, what is going to give that idea to the investor. So with that being said, hopefully you liked this video, and if that was the case, hit the like button. Also leave a comment and let me know what you're up to. And then as well, subscribe to this channel so that you don't miss out on any of the new videos that we're rolling out every week. And then take a look at the fundraising training, which is the program where we help entrepreneurs from A all the way to C with everything related to fundraising. There we have live Q&As, templates, agreements, a community of founders helping each other all over the world. And I think that you would find tremendous value in it. So with that being said, thank you so much for watching.